Hello, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for joining me and everyone else that you can imagine in the infinite universe if they are all tuning in. Uh, so, through Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube, you're joining the Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra's regular Sunday morning meditation, followed by a talk. So, meditation means how to stay present. And this sense of being able to stay present is how you mind your mind. And best we do that is sit still. So, so we're going to spend a little bit of time, maybe a good 40 minutes doing that at the beginning, and followed by a talk. So thank you for joining me. And at the very beginning, I do the traditional prayer called refuge. And that is the affirmation of our confidence in the teachings, because we should not be exposed to danger of wrong ways, wrong views, wrong actions, wrong thoughts, wrong choices, wrong decisions in thoughts and deeds. And so taking refuge is about how not to become sidetracked or distracted, but stay very present. And so it's very much concordant with actual meditation, how to remain present. We are more present when we see and able to follow the Dharma, when we remember the Buddha, when we belong to the fold of the Sangha, a good community of believers in the teaching of kindness and tolerance and compassion and forgiveness and generosity. So that's why the taking refuge in the Buddha, it's not so much seeking an external savior as the Judeo, Christian, or theistic religion do, because Buddhism isn't one. Buddhism promotes inner realization, but so therefore we are seeking and try to unfold our own Buddha within. And that's the taking refuge in the Buddha. And we take when we unfold the Buddha within by following the way that other, like the historical Shakyamuni Buddha has completed the course of the practice. So therefore, he's our model, he's our role model. Therefore, the teachings he gave, realization he had, compassion and wisdom that he emanated is called Dharma. So we need to adhere to that way. Dharma is and Sangha is fellow practitioners who are like-minded, who are also inspired and try to live a life best as they can. So we therefore form a brotherhood and sisterhood, and honor honor the senior ones, honor our friends, and help the new ones, and recruit others, and therefore try to keep ourselves all safe with good companions. When we don't have good companion, we actually easily go off with wrong companions. They are decadent, materialistic, short-sighted, selfish, and often violent and mean and undisciplined. So that's why staying refugees in the triple gem is indeed a precious gem. There's no price to it. It's too precious to try to put a tag to a monetary value. It's just incredibly precious. So that's why we're going to do the refuge prayer 3 times. And when we do that, when we have refuge, then we will practice loving kindness to fellow sentient beings and people who are either to our liking or even to our extreme difficulties. We show great understanding and kindness. Today's topic of the talk is actually understanding sentient beings, understanding people through the prism of Dharma. So it will be very important. So anyway, let's do these prayers too. If you have a text before you, if not, I think for Zoom we will screen share it. So those on Facebook, you just have to join in spirit. Yenda Buddha Dhamma Zanga Ajare Yajala Dhamma Bhavacha Ajendala Ajare Buddha Dhamma and the Dhamma Zanga Ajare Yajala Dhamma Bhavacha Ajendala Ajare Padavadavya and the Dhamma Zanga Ajare Yajala Dhamma Bhavacha Ajendala Ajare Padavadavya. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion to those near and far. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May there be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to the near and far. So now you'll do the meditation. To do the meditation, you will observe 4 S. The first is stillness. That is your posture. You sit still with your hands on the lap in a meditative gesture, with 2 thumbs gently touching below the navel, and right hand on the left, and elbows and shoulders balanced. Keep the back very straight. You can't just keep it straight. You have to keep checking and correcting and improving the straightness of the back. Then only you will yield this first S, the stillness. When the back is straight and still, you're more likely to have the whole rest of the body, because the column of the body is the spine. When the spine is straight, so you have to deliberately straighten the lower back, start from the bottom, and slowly pull up the back, the spinal column, until you reach the top of your neck. Then you slightly bend in the chin, tuck the chin slightly in. Good. Jaw and the mouth and teeth relaxed. Have an inner smile happening. Tongue slightly curl inside the upper teeth. eyes half open, looking straight in front to the tip of your nose on the floor, not closing your eyes, not blinking your eyes. Have a serene, calm, loving, and peaceful look. Thus keep this gaze still as with the back and the rest of the posture. Second S is sincerity. You have to sit there very sincerely throughout this half an hour meditation, which we will do in 3 slots. We will sit sincerely, wholeheartedly, with the best intention, knowing that if we do meditation, we do with the intention to be of use and benefit and help to others, and not just temporarily try to feel high experience just in this session, not that short-sighted purpose, but a long vision how to have a good mind and heart to be of benefit to oneself and others with the help of this meditation. With this altruistic motivation, try to sit still, honoring this sincere intention. Then the third S is serenity. That is your attention. How you keep your meditation has to be very serene, devoid of sluggishness and scatteredness. Your mind can sink within sometimes, become very sluggish and sleepy, or scattered. Devoid of all those S's, try to have the serene, very clear, sharp attention to check the correct and watch and maintain the posture. That's the serenity of attention, sincerity of intention, stillness as action, and then fourth S is simplicity as a technique. Don't make it complicated. Simply sit still, not a big ask. Let the mind be completely present and with you in the posture, and mind the posture, improve the posture, and do not let the mind become wavered or distracted. If it does, gently bring it back. So I will leave you to next 10 minutes in complete silence, during which you use very effective technique to scan, to correct, to check the improved posture. And thus the 4S, stillness of the posture, sincerity of the intention, serene technique or attention of your technique, and therefore very, very simple. Just do that. Try to free your mind from all other concepts. Maintaining these very 4S, the stillness of your posture, sincerity of your intention, and serenity of your attention, and simplicity of the technique. This time, we shift our attention to inhalation. When you're inhaling, mindfully know what to inhale, see what you're inhaling, feel the benefit, and then stay fully present in the inhalation and relish the benefit of inhalation. Then permeate the oxygen in the lungs consciously, knowing it floods your whole nervous system, feel rejuvenated, and stay fully present with the permeation phase of the breath. Then as you exhale, as you breathe out, stay fully present with outgoing carbon and release any difficulties, tension, worries with one out breath and feel completely relieved. Count that as 1 and then do the next with just as meticulous attention. Count that as a 2 at the point of exhalation, and then do the next, and learn to not forget the counting. Most importantly, keep the contents of your attention, seeing the qualified attention, knowing, seeing, feeling, doing, inhalation, permeation, exhalation, and then the number. Throughout the whole phase of this meditation, keep your posture still. Do it sincerely with good attention to this very technique of what we call forward counted qualified round breath. Unless you lose the count, keep counting as high a number you can get to. If you lose the count, which is possible, just don't get agitated. Take a short mini break. Then start again from 1. All in all is try to stay very present with the very phase of the inhalation, permeation, and exhalation of each round of breath. Now the final 10-minute sit, still maintaining the 4S. During this time, our attention should be doing the qualified round breath, but with it added concentration, resolution to be able to do reverse counting. So if you reach, say, 45, you will count reverse. The first round is 45 at the end of exhalation. Then do the next one very carefully. Inhale, permeate, exhale. Then the 44. And then next one, 43. So that you try to increase your endurance and your serenity of your attention, so that you experience how sharp and sharper your attention can get when you're very still and present. To each round breath with full awareness, and do the counting reverse order. So now, before the talk, we do this one verse to request the teachings. Samje namje samba dan loye jira 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 dhamma deva chuje ngolo gordo zo. So, thank you everybody for being present and giving your time and join this regular Sunday's meditation. Being able to practice the sitting meditation is very important part of Buddhist practice and growth. And we are offering this once a week so that people can join as a sangha, as a community, but otherwise you are meant to do it on your own. I'm sure you are doing that, because if you are failing to do regular meditation, your mind can be very scattered and lost, and you get so much, in the whirlpool of your thoughts. So it's good that you are able to join. Thank you very much. Now, this morning I have chosen to give a talk on understanding sentient beings. In Buddhism, the word sentient being is more important, or maybe equally important, as word God is in Christianity. Because even if you have refuge in the Buddha, or Dharma, or Sangha, you are taking refuge in them so that you understand how to deal with sentient beings. And firstly, to understand sentient beings, we are ourselves a sentient being. We hardly know ourselves very well. Do you? Do you know yourself very well? And so therefore, the more you sit in meditation, the more you will get to know your deep-seated thoughts or feelings, suppressed ones, or whatever the case might be. So, because awakening is the main purpose of Buddhism, to attain enlightenment. Enlightenment is to attain enlightenment about lack of the self that we think we are. And but if we do not know ourselves, that we are not what we are, what we are labeled at, or what we people designate us, and we think we are what people designate us, we get caught up in it, we will not get enlightened. We will become completely caught in the superficial world of conventional reality, and we will not know the emptiness of self. We will not be able to practice awakening, because if you are full of self, thinking I am my name or gender or culture or ethnicity or profession or achievements or failure, that's where we get all our sufferings from. So therefore, Buddhism is all about awakening about lack of the true existence of self, awakening of the self that is not the name, awakening of the self that is not permanent, awakening of self that is unsatisfactory, unfortunately speaking. You are unsatisfactory, full stop. And if you just put that, then you do not suffer from thinking I did this wrong. You do not suffer from self-expectation of being perfect. And reason for the self is because we don't understand self, we do not understand sentient beings. Buddha knows sentient beings. Buddha understands sentient beings because he understood the lack of himself in the Gautama, or the Shakya prince that he thought he was, or the king that he was, or the father that he was, or the husband that he was. He realized these things are temporal designations. But in reality, he was much more than that. He was completely capable of becoming fully enlightened. So understanding sentient being is understanding self, the lack of the self that we think we are designated to be. A lack of the father that you think you have designated as. Some people have extreme, they don't understand their father, for instance, because they think that's father is what he did this or that, one thing he did wrong. We just lump him at that. We don't understand our father. We have just led ourselves to think the father is what we thought he was. We lumped him, we gave him a label, and we haven't understood him at all. And to be fair enough, we don't understand our father. How can we understand our father when we ourselves don't understand ourselves? So therefore, understanding sentient being in Buddhism is understanding firstly self. So the self that we think we are designated as say for instance, each of you can think of yourself as a brother to someone, maybe husband to somebody, or uncle to somebody, or customer to somebody. You are understood not as uncle in the shop or the father in the shop. In the shop, they might see you as a potential customer or potential shoplifter. Do you notice the shopkeepers are either looking with the hope you'll buy some, or with the fear that you might lift the shop? So they don't understand you. They don't understand you because they have had quite a few shoplifters. instead of coming to buy things from the shop, they took things and ran. So we are only what we think, and sentient beings are only what we think. So that's why in the Lamdre teaching it says, to the sentient beings who are deluded, and they don't know that, they have impure perception of other sentient beings. When they do not know themselves are deluded, they will project that onto others. And then what they see of the others, is that correct? No, it's a deluded perception. So we don't understand sentient beings that is second person or third person or your father or husband or wife or somebody, because they're only our projection. When we think we love them, they look lovely. When we think they are not reliable, they look really, 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 really unproductive. So they only manifest as what we think of them. So we don't understand sentient beings when we don't understand the role that our thought plays. That's why meditation is key to understand sentient beings. Because to understand other sentient beings, first we have to understand our thoughts and our interests and our temperament and our habits and our effect of a past habit, what we are going through. In the teaching on the Buddha's qualities, they say the qualities of Buddha's power is power of knowing the interest, the intention, the perception, and opinion, and the effect of the opinion the sentient beings themselves have. But the sentient beings themselves do not know that their opinion is what they suffer from. They're suffering their opinion more than their husband or her father or the work or the people. They are only suffering their opinions. When they have positive opinions of their mother or the father, then they are actually rejoicing the mother they have, because the mother, so it's not the seeing the mother as she is. It's because if there are 3 siblings and each of the 3 siblings do not have the identical perception of the mother. Mother is the same person, but their perception of the mother, opinions of the mother is completely different. So their understanding of sentient being who is the mother is colored by each of their kindness or gratitude or lack thereof. The one who is very, very grateful, maybe the elder one is a little bit more grateful to the parents, mother, because he has seen not only how much she has labored hard to support him, but also he has seen how his mother did the same, if not more, to his younger ones. So he has actually had benefit of seeing how hard and how generous, how compassionate and how selfless his mother is. But whereas the other one who have less experience, less understanding, he doesn't have the same perception of that of the mother. So that shows we don't understand sentient beings. When we don't understand, it is our perception that is the sentient being. So that's very important to know. Sentient beings are none other than our perceptions. When we are deluded, we see things wrong in the sentient beings. When we are generous, we see generous kind in the other. So when we feel fearful, we feel afraid of them. When we feel very insecure, we doubt them. So therefore, we don't understand sentient beings, second person or third person, when we least understand the first person. So we have to therefore understand thyself. We have to understand the first person sentient being. That's why the meditation. This understanding of sentient being is not so much, say, whether you wanted to go to this college or that college or apply this job or that job. We're not talking about that. We're talking about our own deep-seated desires and wish and interest and temperament and how unreliable some of them are. We don't understand. We just straight away listen to our emotions and says, I want it now, And we don't realize if we got it what we want, would that make us happy? We have no idea. If you really end up getting what you want, you may be surprised how least you actually want it. So we don't even know our own interest. We do not know our own temperament. We do not know our own opinions being unreliable, deluded. So that's why, to understand sentient beings, we have to meditate. To be able to meditate, we have to have the discipline to meditate. We have to give the discipline. We have to give time to do meditation. The more we meditate, the more we will begin to starting to see our own thoughts and feelings, how unreliable a lot of them perceptions and opinions are, how easily misled we are by our own delusion unconsciously. To understand is becoming conscious. Not understanding is staying unconscious. So you have to be very conscious of your own unconscious habits, interests, and preconceived ideas and projections. It's good to know that if you're conscious that your mother is your own projection, it helps you to distinguish between facts of the poor mother and fiction that you are creating in your head. So you will not be lured or swayed by your deluded perception of your mother, because you know it's your projection of your mother. Mother isn't like that. She has completely given the whole life to us, yet we think she is the most demanding, most control freak, that sort of thing, So when we become conscious of our own perception being dictated by our own selfishness, greed, or hate, or resentment, then we do not lump our perception of the mother as the mother. Mother is not identical to your perception. The moon looks present in the water, but when you check carefully in the water, there is no moon in the water. It's only a reflection. So it's your perception that is your mother. It's your perception that is your husband. And they are not quite like that. They say, oh, you don't understand me, do you, dear? And we think, why? I do. I know exactly what I'm talking about. We're so competent that what we know of the other is completely reliable. We don't realize they're completely poisoned by our own self-centeredness. So our perception of sentient beings are none other than our delusion. If we have kindness, if some of the time we feel extremely grateful to our mother, which is very good, and even then, our gratitude that we feel towards our mother is exactly our perception of our mother. When we are grateful and kind towards our mother, then we feel very grateful to her. Amazing. And maybe she didn't do much, but we feel so grateful. Because of our generosity, we could see a generous mother. When we are very mean, we don't see anything she has done. People say, you have done nothing to me. Quite blatantly. The mother has given 9 months, kept you in your her tummy, and then fed you, washed you, fed you, schooled you, did everything. Yet there are ungrateful children who tell their mother, you have done nothing to me. It's so blatant. Imagine if you are the mother and you hear that, gosh, this little brat has grown up to be such an ungrateful person like this. I've given all my life and time and energy and money and everything, and says he have done nothing to me. I mean, that's so hurtful. We don't understand our mother. Why? Because we don't see her as our projection. Our own selfishness, we are trying to avoid her. We, instead of being thoughtful and kind and generous to her when she needs us most, we try to avoid her. We try to think she is the problem. So we don't understand sentient beings when we don't understand their perception and projection of our own mind. So understanding sentient being is a great skill, because we have to understand firstly our own self. When we know how much aggression and ingratitude and lack of gratitude we have in ourselves, then we start talking, come on, you're so mean to me. This is no good, I don't want to be this person. I just don't like in this thought. So you try to renounce your past thoughts and opinions and selfishness and self-importance towards you. That's renunciation in Buddhism. They talk about importance of renunciation in Buddhism. Yeah, your renunciation of your own negative, distractive, greedy, ungrateful, and angry and resentful mind. We need to learn to part from this sentient being. If you understand sentient being, you have to have a good fight with yourself. You have to have a good quarrel with yourself. That is the meditation. Meditation helps you to reconcile the quarrel that you have with you and have a good quarrel. The quarrel that you come out to be the winner, and the loser is your wrong view. Okay, loser is not you. Thank you. So don't worry. You're not the loser. Your loser is your wrong view. Winner is your right view. So if you understand sentient beings, you will have some fundamental changes that you must adopt through meditation. You must tell yourself, these are the thoughts and views and opinions that I need to drop, because keeping them in your mind and time is treacherous. It's going to ruin your sleep, ruin your health, ruin your fitness to be of benefit and use to others, because you are still holding this bacteria of selfishness and resentment and anger and all of that. And these things are, if we don't understand them as the cause of your perception of other sentient beings, you still think they are sentient beings. They are as they are. We do not see them as perception and opinions and projections of our mind. If we don't see the negativities created by ourselves, manifesting them in the object, we will always lay blame on the object. So we don't understand sentient beings. When we don't understand the sentient being, we are always complaining about them, about someone behind their back, or you're attacking them in front, or you're avoiding them. And doing so, you are missing the whole real point. So the truth of suffering and true origin of suffering. Sentient beings are never said to be origin of suffering or suffering. Sentient being can be a accomplice in your suffering. So the more people you have in your life, the more people you tend to have suffering in which both are smeared with. Like both of you have fallen in the same mud pool. So both are covered in mud because you fell in the same mud pool. So, but the mud that is on your mind is not doing of the other. So you need to have the sense of ownership of your own karma and habits and attitudes. And until these mud-like negative attitude are cleansed, you will continue to project them onto the others. So if you're understanding sentient beings, you will develop compassion. Oh, I have made myself believe that they are the one who did this to me, when it is my own projection, when it's my own selfishness that is making them to look alike. So we therefore withdraw our comments or opinions and attitudes and treat them as a poison, and then try to get rid of wash those mud. And being able to recognize our own afflictions is called becoming conscious of the unconscious. So now, then you are going to become a better friend to you, because you are beginning to understand the first person sentient being. If you don't understand the first person sentient being, there's a lot of anger in us. If we understand the first person sentient being, there will be lots of self-compassion. There's a lot of understanding between you and you. Very good. By this person you to your past you. And then you will hold your hands and meditate and try to reconcile and tell the past, sorry, I've misunderstood you. I will learn to grow and patch up with you. I'm so sorry. I've completely, blown it in a wrong way. Now, having found this technique, having found the way to understand myself, understand means the cause of problem will be now under control. So under control means, understand means under control. You're able to control the problem from maximizing or increasing. Your aggression, your doubt, your resentment, all of these are now at bay. They're not allowed to increase. So they will be paused for a cause. Why? Your meditation does just that. Your meditation put everything aside and you meditate, don't you? And that's why you're trying to pause your mind machinating these negative thoughts, feelings, emotions within yourself that you often project onto other people. So when you see the people not as what they are, but what we are projecting, then you understand the sentient being. Then you're feeling compassion to, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so unkind to think of him like that. Oh, I shouldn't think like this. And then you try to pause and withdraw. You withdraw your comments in the mind. Verbal comments hasn't happened yet, thank goodness. The mental kind of commentary that you tend to make of someone or somebody, you try to say, oh, this I will delete. You delete those. You delete those description of your mother or your father or your friend or your colleague or yourself or whatever. You said, look, this is so unkind. This is so aggressive. This is so ungrateful. This is so mean. I shouldn't keep this in my mind. And then you try to delete them. When you're meditating. When you're meditating, you're able to breathe out. Oh, I don't want to keep these thoughts in my mind. I want to replace that with loving kindness, gratitude, compassion. Inhale. And then exhale those remnants of past thoughts again and again. Then you are understanding sentient beings to the extent of, firstly, you're making friend with the first person sentient being. If there is an understanding and awakening in you, firstly, you are the first person who should try to practice loving kindness to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Others are very critical. Others have just so much misunderstanding about you and everyone, and you only understand what you really are trying to do, or try not to become, or try not to stay as what you were. And they don't have to tell you that. They have to get their own unfolding happen to see that. And so don't worry about other people's opinion, because that's their delusion. If other people have bad thoughts and opinion to you, or about you love somebody, or you, don't worry about that. Don't worry about their opinion about somebody, because that's their perception. Then you understand, oh, they are also under the sway of their aggression, their resentment, their angst, their sadness, oh, that person has so much trouble, he keep projecting that onto him or me or her, then you do not lump them as such. You can empathy and have empathy and compassion for them why they have those attitudes. Why? Because you've been there yourself. You have just reconciled with a little bit in recent months. Now you know, oh, we are in the same boat. So you try to start. Then you have the moral and intellectual authority to develop compassion. Otherwise, people believe in compassion, but they don't know how to have compassion. Compassion is an understanding of sentient being with suffering. Compassion is not practicable to the walls and to the floor or to the road or to inanimate object. Compassion is animate feeling, empathy to sentient beings whose suffering and problem we feel from our core of our heart, and therefore we understand their suffering. So understanding sentient beings, how do you know you're understanding sentient beings? Your compassion to them is now starting to trickle. You know? It's really good to see the condensation of compassion. When you have compassion, you see their share of mistake, but you do not lump it with them. You know their suffering, like your problems or your suffering, are impermanent. They are all changeable. They do not truly and independently and permanently exist. So you do not lump the sentient being with his habits, with his one wrong. You don't say your father is violent because he has been violent once or twice. You see them as your father has been more generous many times. Why don't you call him generous father? Why don't you call him kind father? Why don't you call your mother my beautiful mother? Why don't you call the beautiful mother? You call her whatever other things, because your mind is just as mean. So mean that you do not have any good words to call her, and therefore she doesn't manifest as well. She's only a perception of your mind. So sentient beings' perception or appearances is very, very much an indicator of where we are as a practitioner or a lack of a practitioner. And don't be surprised that you have extremely negative perception of somebody like a non-practitioner. Why? Non-practitioner don't even know that's their perception. But you at least know it's my perception. So that's a practitioner already. Non-practitioner do not admit that is my perception. The practitioner at least not only admit and acknowledge and accept that this is my perception, and therefore they distinguish between the object and the perception. That's really remarkable. So you might have a really bitter time seeing that, oh, I'm so disappointed that I'm like this, because she is only a projection of my own mean and ungrateful mind, and she is otherwise generous, selfless, kind, and wherever she is. When you're starting to use few positive adjectives, and then you now have the decency to be compassionate to yourself, not belt yourself for having those negative perceptions. That even your perceptions are not you, let alone the object. Your perception too are changeable. This is the understanding, real understanding you have. That you don't think you are the perception. You have perception, but those perceptions are completely changeable. Good. Now, meditation and the discipline to do the meditation is empowering you to change your perception. You meditate regularly, you are starting to shift your perception, and you no longer lump your perception with the object. Now you no longer lump yourself with perception. Very good. In the Heart Sutra and Buddhist teachings, perception is emptiness. Doesn't mean empty of existence. It's empty of permanent, inherent existence. There is existence of perception that is dependent origination, that is caused by a number of factors, but there is not a perception that is independent, that is permanent, that is unitarily existing. So be kind to sentient beings, because to yourself first. First, be kind to the first person sentient being, then you will realize the second person, your mother, for instance. then straight away you can see, because you no longer are denier of you're not denying your perception, you are accepting your perception as the cause of your experience with your mother. When you have that, at least as a practitioner, you acknowledge, I'm deluded, I'm selfish, I'm ungrateful. Very good. That's very good. Good to be deluded, but even better to know that I'm deluded when I'm deluded. Because if you say I'm deluded, you are understanding the baseline of all sentient beings. All sentient beings are deluded, karmically and emotionally and cognitively. Unfortunately so. So, all sentient beings are in same boat. Have compassion to all sentient beings. That is the understanding of the baseline nature of all sentient beings. When you have the fitness to develop compassion to sentient beings, you will not harbor ill will or a resentment towards you or towards the other or anyone for that matter. You will feel so sad how much time has lost between you and your past and you and your mother by failure to understand yourself, your own mind, your emotions, your afflictions. But thank goodness, meditation has empowered you to have this understanding. Because of that, you are not idealizing yourself to be totally free of affliction and karma, because it's too late. You have got an ID, you got a passport number, and all the rest. So you are a relative entity. You have relative entity, relative entity until death notice comes to your friends. You still exist as a conventional person. Now you have to change the contents of this conventional person who's now changing and who's now starting to understand his own selfishness, his own ungratefulness, his own resentment, and he wanted to part from them. He wanted to part from those habits, karmic habits, emotional habits, physical habits, verbal habits, and then he slowly learned to cull and destroy and purify their karma. Take a positive step to purify your karma. There are lots of Buddhist meditation practices how to change your karmic pattern. When you understand that perception of someone or something or some places or situations are my perception. Sentient beings with delusion have impure perception. That's the teaching, fundamental teaching in Buddhism, that your perception of others is deluded perception, impure, dualistic perception of your own wrong views. Simple as that. And then if somebody sees that kind of perception of you, you also see, oh, he's in the same shoes as me. You can say, we are in the same boat. He's blaming me, I'm blaming him. We are not a good partner here. This is not going to work. So we need to keep some time off from each other. Take a retreat from each other. You're not good together because your companionship is only make the matters worse. So, but sometimes your companionship will increase your mutual understanding. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. You forgive them quickly. You apologize quickly. When you understand sentient being, there's a lot of giving and taking. You quickly patch up in every day. You try to patch up every day. That's a practitioner. One who understands the sentient being, who always patch up every day. Every day, not necessarily in person, in prayer and in meditation. All Buddhist formal practices are designed so that you can confess and purify and forgive. Forgive practices. So the one of the practices that you can do to change your karma and change your perception and affliction is Vajrasattva meditation. This is why this coming weekend we are going to do a full weekend of how to do effective meditation practice of Vajrasattva purification meditation. This is why we're going to do that in person in Siba as well as online. And and so these are designed so that people need to understand sentient beings. If they understand sentient being, they are much kinder to themselves. They give themselves opportunity to learn a very authentic practice, how to purify your karma, your habits, your perceptions, and therefore your differences and your conflicts with sentient beings. The sentient beings are there mutually due to their karma as well as your karma. There's not a lot you can do entirely from your end to change somebody else. They have to change themselves. But in order for them to change themselves, we need to change ourselves. So they are mutually dependent. They're mutually inclusive. When we make some changes, it'll make them feel, oh, he's much gentler towards me. He doesn't blame me as nearly as much. He actually acknowledges me. He actually accepts me. When you have experienced that from the other, then the other one also says, oh, he's also changing. He's very kind. He cares about me. Because of that, there's mutual compassion and acceptance. As a result of that, there is this opening. There is this opening, So enlightenment means to open. Otherwise, we are closed-minded. We are completely closed-minded in our wrong views without knowing them as wrong. And Buddha shows that how wrong the wrongs are. Most of them are wrong views. When we don't know the wrong view, then we don't know our wrong choices, our wrong actions, or speech, or opinions, or perceptions, and choices, and so self-centered. Most of the sentient beings are often wronged by their own self-centeredness. Now, when you practice meditation, you realize how deep-seated self-cherishing is, selfishness is. And until you realize disgusted, until you develop disgusted, be deep disgust to the self-cherishing, you haven't understood really much Dharma. So we need to have some kind of a renunciation from selfishness. And we wanted to develop our effective remedy, how to allay this self-cherishing from harming us any more than it has already. That is refuge. Then you stand up, and I'm going to take a firm stand by taking refuge, meaning making a commitment, making an affirmation, how not to remain so deluded, selfish, and unconscious. And then our life is very precious, There's not a lot of... Our life is very, very precious, especially when you know it is limited. Time, how long you may live. Life is so fragile. It may be very precious. It took a long time to produce, but it is so fragile. It can perish like any time. So there is no certainty how long you live. What is going to make your life live long? You don't know. People are doing all sorts of things for temporary enjoyment, temporary kind of excitement and recreation. But often they're exposing themselves to very dangerous activities, thrill-seeking activities. They're jumping from height with a small piece of rope tied on their leg as an enjoyment called bungee jumping. They do all kinds of activities. Quite a lot of people get, to permanent, injuries to their body. People are so careless about what they do. They don't realize how precarious and how fragile their life is. And even without doing such dangerous things, life is pretty fragile, and death can happen any time. Look at the pandemic the last 2 years. How fragile life has been proven when you contract that terrible illness. If it wasn't for all the hardworking medical professionals and that has aided us to protect from it, millions and millions of people would have died. Why? Because our life is so fragile. You just contract one little breath from somebody going to a cafe or somebody, and you catch that, and you stood no chance in next 3 days. Why? Life is very fragile. So therefore, we wanted to live meaningfully by understanding ourselves, our past, and be kind to ourselves, and then be kind to our nearest and dearest, to our mother or father, and really amend them and apologize them, forgive them before they stay very angry too long. It's never too early to forgive and to apologize. Because if we don't do, we're avoiding the very sentient being with whom we have projected most, haven't really done anything. So understanding sentient beings is directly practicing compassion. Buddhism talks a lot about suffering, but suffering of who? Sentient beings. And we don't know our nearest and dearest loved ones, and however difficult they may seem, they're actually suffering. They have no control over their karmic predicament and their afflictions, their habits, because they haven't got the Dharma. Even those who have Dharma, they just don't do the Dharma. They just go into other kind of interest. They don't want to do things that is dharmically beneficial. They want to do what is selfishly they want to do. All of a sudden, they don't want to do nothing because their selfishness straight away kicks in, and little thing they were doing dharmically get completely ignored and neglected. We're talking about being kind to your mother, for instance. You were going to reconcile with her, you're going to make peace with her, but no, you instead has made the misunderstanding gap much bigger than it used to be. And they think, no, I couldn't be bothered. No, I will not do that. Why? Because it's so easy to be deluded. Again. So, if we understand our sentient beings, we should be kind to ourselves and not repeat the same mistake any more than what we have. And thus, be resilient to do the Dharma, to do the kind thing to yourself. And by being kind to other people, like your mother, you are being kind to yourself many more times. You don't even have to worry that you have forgotten you, because you will not. Any act of kindness and generosity, compassion that we practice to other sentient beings because we understand their sufferings is an automatic beneficial benefit to yourself. So with this understanding, we do that. We are less selfish and more selfless. And because of that, our act of kindness or little generosity or small acts of kindness, we're not talking about big, small acts of kindness, the duties, things that you said you will do, just try to fulfill them. Don't try to be a minimalist. Try to do lesser and lesser, and that also you don't want to do. If you do that, then you will have a burden of guilt of not doing much, even for yourself, let alone others. Because you try to avoid doing things, and therefore you have made yourself to be completely not having achieved anything for yourself or to others. But the moment we try to do something for instance, someone as close as your loved ones, because Dharma doesn't mean Dharma. Dharma means doing kind and compassionate and generous things to others. And so, if learning about Dharma and studying the Dharma and working together with fellow Sangha is a rudimentary cause for boosting that, of course you have to do that lifting too. Someone's got to do lift. So everybody got to lift a little bit from each corners of the blanket. Then everything that's on the blanket will be lifted. If nobody wants to do anything from their side of the blanket, then no matter how much other people lift from the other side, all the grains on this side will fall off. So we need to therefore all try to understand sentient beings. Some people genuinely could not do some things because of their temporary difficulties, whatever they are. So they may be very ill-timed as what they can't do, but doesn't mean that should be cause of discouragement to you and me and others. And same goes with your family situation. Same goes with the other. If he doesn't do that, doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything at all. Because he can't do, maybe you should do a bit more in order to make them feel you're not neglecting them totally or rejecting them totally. So that kind of way shows that we understand each other, so that we know that we are all mutually dependent. Nobody is independent. and we have to be mutually dependent. So when the more we understand sentient beings, the more compassionate we are to ourselves and to others automatically. Or when your compassionate act is directed to somebody, we are automatically benefited to ourselves. So with that understanding, then understanding sentient beings makes ourselves to practice the Dharma. Why we have to understand sentient beings? Because the Dharma would not be necessary if you and I or yourself lived in a planet by yourself. There will be no need of Dharma. There will be only you. But this is not the case. We have need and commitment and obligation, not only to others, but others feel we have obligation to them. And so because we are mutually dependent on each other, we have to therefore try to lift our share of weight of responsibility and try to make them feel that they can count on us because we said, I will do that. Now your mother would have expectation what you will do. Your father would have expectation. Your friends would have expectation. It's vice versa. So if one does not understand the other, then you pull out and they feel completely stranded. And that will make yourself feel many years of isolation, loneliness, and alienation. Why people feel lonely? Because they have pulled too many things haphazardly and then not fulfill their obligation. And therefore, later on, it became a cause of grief and regret and guilt, and that will become a cause of really severe ill health. So therefore, understanding sentient beings makes us to develop empathy and compassion, because they are not really that different from us. See, other sentient beings are only different body and a name. Otherwise, they are very identical to us. They have karma and the affliction, and they don't know it's their karma and the affliction. And when we know that it's my perception, and then we know, they don't know it's their perception. They think it's me. They think it's my teacher or my uncle or my brother. And you don't get upset by that, because they will have to have time until they know that they will continue to suffer that. But when they come to know it's their perception, it's not the perceived, it's not identical to the perception, then we will have the ability to give amnesty to them, never mind their perception. Because their perception too will change. Why? Because you are compassionately allowing that to happen, because everything is transient. Even afflictions and negative perceptions are not permanent. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And we can make them impermanent. And when we understand sentient beings. So we don't lump sentient beings with their opinions, with their doings, with the perceptions, with the feelings they show to us or don't show to us. We don't feel rejected. We don't feel needed just because they show that. We see that, they do that when sometimes they do that, sometimes they do exact opposite. When you don't show any attention, they think that we are ignoring them. When we show attention to them, they think we want something from them. So sentient beings are very difficult to please, because they are identical to you. You are so difficult to please yourself, even by yourself, let alone by your husband or mother or others. So how much you have to imagine the other sentient beings are like? They are completely like you. Some are more innocent than you. That's the only difference. Other sentient beings are more innocent than you. And so when we understand that, we have lots of compassion and understanding. When we have that, we will learn to not perpetuate our views and opinions so much. Anyway, so that's all I have time. But if people have any comments or questions, please feel free to, particularly those in the Zoom. And those on the Facebook, if you have some questions, please type them, and I will try to access them. Such a brilliant teaching, a true gem, says somebody. I don't know whether that's your perception or not. So, uh, thank you, everyone. If you don't have any questions or comments, never mind. That's fine. Thank you for your full attention of being here. Uh, we will continue these transmissions every Sunday, as you know, as well as even though I'm supposed to running the next weekend retreat, I have decided to insert the Sunday session at 11 o'clock anyway. So please join in. Join in. Um, I don't know whether you have to do through the Vajrasattva retreat Zoom or not. You probably need to do that, but we'll send out a email saying how you can do that. But if you wish to do the main whole retreat, please do so. Otherwise, thank you very much, everyone. We will do the dedication of merits, which we will screen share. Even small amount of time sitting, listening, thinking, and accessing the right view in your mind has an amazing merit and benefit if you can conceive and relish and digest that in your mind. So with this in mind, think of all the people in the world who are exposed to extreme dangers of war and famine, and not only exposed, but many are dying of starvation, of hunger and thirst and war and pestilence and fear and war. You couldn't believe what the people are trying to do for whatever reasons. So spare a few moments of thoughts and dedicate these prayers for them. By this mere me ho da riva benzege hom neze me hale bere robi from the ocean of de herenda maya na je whatever merit I have me hobe because levas Choedak maya na je courage manju shri as ama draba drajela following the example I shall de o de mere selem body jida tebe where na yadaza where has been bomeding freely with the generation. Thank you, everyone. Understand sentient beings, please. Thank you.